This is Bad Gamer Cat. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to start a brand new game. This is a free-to-play game on Steam, and it just released on August 30th, 2018, so just the other day. So let's just jump right in. We're going to start a new game. I have no idea what this is about. Choices. You'll need to make various decisions throughout Lake of Voices. Here are a few details to keep in mind. Certain choices are timed. Time running out isn't something to completely avoid. In some cases, not getting involved can open new possibilities. Other choices aren't timed. These options only determine whether Kika has any special affection for another character or not. If you survive until the second night, the story will branch into one of 5 different plot lines based on your earlier decisions. The other characters cannot manage all situations in the various plot lines, regardless of what you do. If a character isn't making it, try getting that plot with a different set of survivors, or having the same group of characters venture through some other storyline. Becoming closer to someone can add or remove future choice options and change how some scenes play out. Your decision to build that connection may not go unnoticed by the other characters. Earning the full amount of affection with certain characters can require getting into specific plot lines. Page up key returns to previous text or choice, and the T key opens the full text history. My grip on my lantern tightens as the fog around us thickens. While the forests in this area are relatively safe compared to Sinnlos, I can't help but feel my hair stand on end the further we get. My free hand fingers the hilt of my sword, something akin to a nervous reflex.
Have you seen it before?
Hi, Bamel. Yeah, I've seen fog like this in a game called Myth Survival, just recently. Bamel breaks the silence, either sensing my unease or assuaging his own. I hope it's the latter.
I haven't. I've had no reason to go near this cursed lake until now. What of you?
I'm gonna put the voice volume louder. Bamel scratches his chin casually, as though I ask what his favorite food is.
I traveled a long way around it once before. Not so pleasant. Something about it just frays your nerves. Although, even being near it is enough.
Let's put the volume all the way up for voice. So I'm not the only one who feels it. A sense of relief hits me, but not enough to undo the buzzing of anxiety. The lake, Sinnlos. Most try their best to avoid it all their lives. The hundreds who die attempting to cross its unearthly black water, dragged to death by the creatures lurking within, aren't a secret.
No wonder you were assigned this mission.
There are few who've had first-hand experience with the place, even if from a distance. He'll probably keep being picked whenever they need someone to cross, for however long he's with us. Bamel shrugs, bringing my attention back to the dark path before us.
At least we're taking the bridge this time. It'll only take 2 days instead of double that, and the sooner this place is behind us, the better.
It would be preferable not to risk it. But time is of the essence. We don't really have a choice.
One of our allied villages, Hemer, is being harassed by brigadiers, a band of ruffians. We don't have many guards to send as an assist, only Bamel and myself. The least we can do is arrive before we are too late to be of any use. These kinds of squabbles happen often, but have to be put down, lest they turn into a blood grudge, or an all-out war. The last we heard, neither option was that far off.
I can also see why they chose you to come out here.
I glance at Bamel, an eyebrow raised. A slight smile plays across his lips.
You're always so calm and so serious. Nothing can get to you. You're the best choice they had.
Thank you. A smile now tugs at my own lips. I would like to thank him, but that wouldn't be so calm and serious as he just described. And if that's how he sees me, I'd like to keep it that way. My lack of reaction only makes his smile grow, and he chuckles a bit before refocusing on the path. I do the same. It wouldn't be right to let my guard down in a place like this. But Mel appears to feel differently, however.
You know the town on the other side of the lake, though. It's not so similar to ours. If all goes well, perhaps we'll have enough time to enjoy the new area.
I hope so. For the most part, I ignore him, nodding where applicable. But Mel is a talkative sort, and if chatting helps keep his worries down and his shorthand ready, I have no complaints. After a time, the thick fog surrounding us begins to clear. A slick wooden dock comes into view, and with it, the sounds of water gently lapping at its sides. And this is a really pretty picture. But Mel shifts beside me, stretching his lantern arm as far as it will go. He seems tense.
Someone's already here.
Uh-oh. A young woman stands by the dock, eyeing us warily. Does she intend to cross tonight? Evidently, she has the same question. As we step up next to her, it's clear she isn't simply passing by. She's waiting. The stranger nods curtly to us.
Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
Kika the Steadfast.
Bamile.
Oh,
Hello?
Bemele. I've been saying his name wrong. Hello. There's a stuffy silence. Margaret turns to gaze out across the lake, expression unclear. With not much to say, Bemele and I do the same. From here, the black surface of the lake looks disarmingly calm. Wind rushes across its surface, a sound like whispering. Though, perhaps it actually is whispering. I concentrate, trying to place the difference, searching for breaks and rhythm. After a few seconds, I just feel foolish. It doesn't matter what the noise is. Whether I hear them or not, we're not alone. The Nixie are out there. A feeling that I quite can't shake tells me they've already noticed the little group of people on their shores. It feels hostile. My stomach sinks, and I address Bemele.
Where is the guide?
I guess I'm Kika.
Unless he's on the center island, or on the complete other side, your guess is as good as mine. It's dark as pitch out there.
Panic rises inside me. Panic I try hard to quell.
We can't cross without him, and we need to get going soon.
You can't cross with him either.
Why not, Margaret? The woman behind us, Margaret, cuts in with something like a snort.
What?
I know the guide will be here tonight. I have already made arrangements with him to cross.
Bemele and I share a look. The woman seems haughty and willing to put up a fuss.
I have his word he'll take me today. It would be wiser for the two of you to begin the trip around if you're really in such a hurry. Or you can make camp here and wait for him to make the trip back if you prefer.
I don't need to turn my attention to Bemele to know he's riled up. I step in before he can say something rash.
Even if that is so, my companion and I must begin the trip tonight.
Margaret is unimpressed and opens her mouth to argue further.
We'll wait for the guide to arrive before coming to a conclusion about any of this.
She clamps her mouth shut, then lets out a sigh.
You can do as you like.
With the matter tentatively settled, Bemele moves away. His finger begins to tap loudly against the top of his hilt. He shifts from one foot to another, then groans.
What's that bastard even up to?
I almost visibly start, but manage to restrain myself. He probably doesn't know any better. I'm sure of that. It's not worth mentioning.
With a mouth like that, you shouldn't even have the right to ask the guide to take you across.
How ludicrous. He's faced far worse than a bit of foul language.
Do you know anything that's happened with this lake?
I know enough.
Margaret is clearly not convinced, but she shrugs and makes a show of turning her back to him.
The guide's father is Garvin the Exemplar. Garvin never accepted the guide as his son, all the way up until he died, in this lake. Your statement could be seen as tasteless.
Okay, Kika.
Oh.
Emily rubs the back of his neck, his face regretful.
My apologies to the guide. I didn't mean it that way. I never knew about his... well, that.
A smile spreads across my face, one that I quickly wipe away. He really did just misspeak. The silence slowly stretches between the three of us, growing more awkward with each passing second. Margaret seems irritated, and Emily abashed.
I know you. You are brash but not intentionally cruel. I'm sure all is well.
Emily smiles and claps me on the back.
You're a good woman, Kika. Smart, too. You've never been here, yet you knew more of the guy than I did.
I know about Garvin, truthfully. Tales of his deeds were some of the only stories my parents ever told.
Is that so? You could tell me more about it sometime.
I pause, unsure how to respond to this type of request.
I would like that very much.
Yes, I wouldn't mind that. It must wait until after this trip, though.
Of course. We should drop this topic sooner rather than later, in any case.
I agree.
Even if there's no harm meant, hearing someone mention Garvin is probably difficult for the guide, no matter what the circumstance. Okay, that's probably true, but the guide's not here yet. With the topic dropped, we each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. That must be the guide, although I can't shake off the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares.
Are you the guide of Sinnlos?
The man nods. He has a sharp face and weary eyes.
Well, that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Emily motions to the two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strained smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guide turns to face her as well, face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He would have had to say something otherwise. She really does have preference to travel with him. That's a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all three of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
Oh, well, that's just great, isn't it? I furrow my brow. It's a disturbing addendum, and one offered with little emotion attached. Emily glares back, without asking, what we're supposed to do with such circumstances.
You should go around.
All right, let's go around. The sentence hangs in the air, the second half unspoken. If you want to live.
We don't have time for that! There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
Bemily, calm down. He jerks a finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
Hope she's not going just to buy a new dress or something. She meets Bemily's eyes with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak, and she cuts in.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
Well, Margaret, how about you display some patience?
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface. If you don't decide soon, no one will be going.
Why will we all die when the sun comes up? The guide is dispassionate, stoic. I would almost feel something's wrong with him if I didn't share the same trait myself. Bemily pulls me to the side, jaw clenched tight.
That woman isn't armed.
His voice is low. He darts a glance at Margaret.
We can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
Well, I don't want to kill her, Bemily. I stare at the dock, refusing to meet Bemily's eyes, and try to keep my voice as level as possible.
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
Bemily leans in closer, apparently having missed what I said. I remove the sympathy for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms, a hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my abilities and in Bemily's, but there's no reason not to believe the guide knows exactly what he's talking about. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we each deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. Ah! I guess we should
And
go.
I believe you.
I guess I believe we should go. Bemily's reply is firm. My steadfastness seems almost weak in comparison to its certainty. He addresses the guide.
We shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
The guide slowly turns around, without even a nod, to show his agreement. Margaret stares at Bemily and me, something of a resolve in her gaze. Then she follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we must stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight. Those monsters can starve.
Okay, Bemily, 2 seconds ago you wanted to kill Margaret yourself. I smile at him for a change, and Bemily eagerly smiles back.
We're lucky to have each other in this, I think.
I hope we are. He turns to follow the others across. I will protect everyone on this trip. I will. We will make it through this. Then I step onto the dock and join them. As soon as I step onto the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water's surface as reflective as a mirror. Until we reach land again, death is only one small mistake away. We fall into line, with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick, wet wood. Bemily brings up the rear. Each of us hold our lanterns in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick, the night impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind, nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickening breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even the sound of water, with how still the surface is. It seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the water of Sinnlos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water, that just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least, I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there.
Did his eyes just turn to the other way?
If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
Oh.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
How can that be? He's facing the front again, his voice as expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this. I don't know who Nixie is, but what if he is Nixie? Or what if he's working for Nixie?
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs noncommittally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
I like her accent. She hesitates, and then she looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
You're welcome.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
Now it's Bemele? I thought it was Bemele.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
Thank you. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I am not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. You hear that? As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices. And this time, it's coming from all around us. Okay, so let me put those sounds up again.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guide doesn't say anything in response to Bemele's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bemele, or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he speaks softly, though I couldn't quite hear him because of it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead for a moment to explain it to Bemily and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word, oh my god, look behind Bemily, is able to escape me in my stunned state.
Behind
Bemily stands another figure, looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bemily grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around, then staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisting black figure hobbles its way toward us. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bemily backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another.
What on earth?
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
Great.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
I hope so. Margaret's hand grips her face tight, and desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Oh, just great. Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Okay, if we knew that these things don't like the light, why didn't we bring like 10 lanterns each? Bemily spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Bemily sputters in anger, and the guide summarily ignores him. I solidly grab hold of Bemily's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bemily eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact that I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now that he doesn't give a darn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
You're welcome. Bemily places a gentle hand on my shoulder. Place my hand over his. I feel Bemily start as I reciprocate his touch, but just as quickly, a smile replaces his shock. The moment is pleasant, a small balm against a large burn. I harden my expression and Bemily follows suit. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now, properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With a tug on Bemily, we start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridges, only this time the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. In spite of myself, I grip Bemily tighter. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this? Or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I still myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemily, they're stopping.
Bemily slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says, with something akin to distress,
There's another one.
"Oh, great." I tug on Bemily and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
How are we going to protect her if the swords are useless against them? Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling toward us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hands turn over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Seriously, we're gonna throw one of our only lanterns? Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Bemily speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
Margaret takes Bemily's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hand grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far. The light will blow out before it reaches the Nyx.
He sounds so calm. He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Is it only the approaching light that's making it retreat? Or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake, in the distance and onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. Then, suddenly, the guide takes multiple long and fast strides forward, throws the lantern, and jumps backward to regain the lost distance.
Shh.
There's a sharp hiss and a deep splash, and the voices of the Nixie grow quieter. Not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me, and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going, before it comes back.
I glance at Bemily and realize he, too, is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. The first prowler! It's still there! It's right there! Pull Bemily forward. I shift around, pulling Bemily behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bemily, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out, and the two of us are plunged into unearthly darkness. Oh no. Then there's a slick splash. I realize the Nyx has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bemily and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kika, thank you.
Uh-oh. He doesn't sound good. I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. Kick it off! I kick my leg out as fast as I can and the Nyx's hold slips. It can't pull with the momentum I've gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out toward the Nyx. The light brushes its face. We see it for an instant, its eyes wide, Then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bemily grabs Margaret and I both, helping us toward the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
Where's the guide?
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually all right?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there's nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
I have to take a sip of my water, you guys. 1 minute. I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of Bemily. I need to in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety. But I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head roughly and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I'm able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Yes. Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bemily and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as that monster's grasp, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. And Nix grabbed it after the light went out.
Well, that's not good. Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead. What? Why would she be smiling?
It's better than them taking anything else.
Oh, okay. A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me, and just as quickly stops. Bemily chuckles in response, and our collective tension eases up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bemily's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bemily stays by my side as I keep the end of the line. The breath of release for Margaret and Bemily is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sinnlos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of the prowlers reaching out toward us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The prowlers are on Margaret's mind, too. Looking at her pained expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though. They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Of course it isn't. They're monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right or wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly, truly hope that's the last we'll see of the prowlers.
Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bemily and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemele loses his position momentarily.
Bemele.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bemele's surprise is so apparent, I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself, too. Bemele returns to his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Emily turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous, depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death, no matter how experienced Bemeli, I can't remember, and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult.
So you're staying behind?
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yes, I think we'll be good here. But really, thank you. That was a very kind offer.
Well, all right.
Margaret respects our decision and trots ahead a bit to catch back up with the guide, he who has paid no mind to the entire affair. Okay.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Damn.
I suppress my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
How many trials are there?
I like the way you think.
Then a gleam enters Bemeli's eyes and he
I
grins.
think Kika deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
He leans softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to... what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Bemele was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Bemeli shakes a fist at Margaret in mock anger, then shoots me an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Bemeli laughs self-consciously, scratching his head.
That's very true. You can always count on Kika.
Kika. I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, almost grateful to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Without a response from me, the conversation very quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. After some time, I notice Margaret isn't keeping up with the guide as much as she was before. I realize it's because the guide has increased his pace. Margaret begins to jog in an effort to keep up with him, and Bemeli and I do the same. Despite this, the guide keeps getting further away. Yeah, I don't trust that guide. We go faster and faster until suddenly we're full on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. Figures in the dark fly past us at a blur, and it occurs to me the branching paths in the bridge appear to be sinking? I try hard to swallow my rising panic. The guide shouts something but is drowned out by the frantic pounding of our footsteps. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't, stop, turn, when he takes a masterfully sharp right down a different path using his own momentum and the sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Margaret must not have worked out the warning either, as she completely caught off guard by the guide's change in course. She runs straight ahead past the turn and continues down the path we've been following up until now. She clumsily begins to halt her momentum down the wrong bridge. Then I come upon the fort. Turn? No, I think we should stay with Margaret. I keep straight ahead, not making an attempt to go in the correct direction. Bemeli seems to fumble slightly, but stays close behind me, and in the light, I inwardly apologize. I come upon Margaret, who nearly runs into me in her efforts to turn around. Her face twists at the sight.
Why are you...
I ignore her and move to face the other way. The path we came from is disappearing into the water. It's sinking.
We have to jump.
What?
Margaret holds up her hands, but I grab her and spin her forward, toward the path the guide is on.
Go! We'll catch up.
But...
Bemele and I will have to jump together. He needs the light. Just move.
I practically shove her, and without further hesitation, she takes the leap. She makes it just past the edge of the bridge, knees buckling as she lands, but is soon back up on her feet and holding her lantern out toward me. She beams with pride. I smile back and motion Margaret toward the guide. She understands the gesture, though hesitates, obvious conflict in her eyes. However, she nods and runs after him.
Here.
I offer Bemele my hand, tightening my grip on my lantern. Bemele accepts the offer, giving it a brief squeeze. A tight smile plasters itself across my face as I try to calculate the distance between our bridge and the other. Then the ground starts to shake more.
Jump!
We dash to the bridge's edge and leap. Cold air rushes past my face, winding its fingers into my hair. For an instant, I think I see something moving under the surface of the water. Then we land hard on the wooden bridge. Bemele lets out a sigh of relief as we both creakily get fully back on our feet. He gently runs a thumb over the top of my hand before he releases it. There's a clear sense of affection to it.
Stay close. We need to run.
I'll be right behind you.
I take off, not bothering to ensure Bemele is staying true to his word. I know he'll follow. The guide's fading light bounces in the distance, a clear signal that he's still running. I focus everything I have on catching up. Slowly, we begin to close the distance. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. Even my stamina is being challenged. I can't imagine what this must be like for Margaret. She's holding her sides as she runs, clearly cramping from the exercise. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. Well guys, I think we're going to stop here. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. It's certainly different, and if you are enjoying it, jump onto Steam and download it for yourself. You can make your own decisions and see where the game takes you. Alright, if you like this, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye now, take care.